Hello YouTube, LD50 here, back with another video. Today we're going to revisit Melee Amara. In the most recent hotfix, Gearbox have made some adjustments, and because of those adjustments I've had to come back and revisit the build to see if it is still viable. So the things that Gearbox have recently done, they have changed the way that Remnant works, and they have also changed the way that the white elephant artifact behaves. Well, not so much the way it behaved, but certainly the amount of damage that it deals. So the white elephant had a 30% chance to attack a sticky bomb, and that sticky bomb was doing 2 times the amount of melee damage that you applied. Gearbox in their wisdom have decided to nerf that somewhat. In fact, I would say they've fully castrated it, and it is now doing half of the damage that you do, half the melee damage you do will be applied to the sticky bombs as damage. So it's around about a 4 times damage reduction. So I've decided to see if we can use a static charge instead. So what I've tried to do with this build is to get as much melee damage into the build as possible, because that will, I think, affect the output of the static charge. We've also gone and pretty much dispensed with the blue tree, as you can see there, and we've put a lot more points into the purple tree. So we'll have a quick talk about the gear and the skills, go to a bit of combat and see where we're at the end, a little bit of a recap. So jumping straight in, we're going to be using the Facepuncher. This is going to be a ties that bind build, so we're going to use the 300 over 90 anointed Facepuncher. This will also work with a Psycho Stabber. The Psycho Stabber is more if you're a traditional melee player. Stab, stab. Obviously the Facepuncher is a gun that shoots projectiles, but they count as melee damage. We're going to be using a Frozen Heart, but you could also use a Void Rift, or you could use a Nova Burner, or you could use a Stinger, anything with the action skill Start Anointment, or you could perhaps use a Brawler Ward to give you increased melee damage when the shield is broken. We're going to be using the Phase Zerkacom with this build, and the reason we're going to use the Phase Zerkacom is we're not speccing into the blue tree, so we're not getting Avatar. Because we're not getting Avatar, we need to get our cooldown down as quick as we can, or get down as much as we can, so that we get our action skill back quickly. And the Phase Zerka has a stacking cooldown rate bonus. This particular Phase Zerka also has some action skill cooldown on it as a passive. And we will be relying also on the Guardian perk topped off, which is a 300% action skill cooldown rate increase. I'm going to use an It's Piss grenade, but any grenade that you like that's got some sort of action skill end anointed bonus. This one's got radiation, but you could use whichever element suits your playstyle or for your situation. I find that radiation is a nice broad spectrum element to have on the build. Action skill, we will set that to whatever is appropriate for action skill element will be set to whichever is appropriate for the combat situation. So we'll go through the skills now. On the red tree, we want to get down to ties that bind here. On the way, we're going to put 2 points into infusion. That will convert some of the melee damage on the Facepuncher into our action skill element. 3 out of 3 into steady hands to tighten up the spread of the Facepuncher. 3 out of 5 into Anima, that's to help us get down the tree and to provide a little bit of extra damage. 5 out of 5 into Tempest, that's quite a large elemental damage boost. Single point in Illuminated Fist, which will increase our melee damage broadly. It will also apply the action skill element to melee strikes. Doesn't work with a Facepuncher, but it'll certainly work with the Psycho Stabber. Single point into Dread, because it is a Ties That Bind build, so we will be picking up enemies, and if we kill them while they are grasped, it will reload our Facepuncher for us. We're going to put 3 out of 3 into Indiscriminate, because that's a great skill to use with a grasped suite of action skills. On the green tree, 5 out of 5 into Root to Rise to give us some extra health. 5 out of 5 into Arms Deal for the splash damage. 3 out of 3 into Mindfulness. This is going to help us get our shield back quickly and give us some movement speed on the battlefield. Single point into Find Your Center for that 100% additive melee damage bonus. On the blue tree, we're just going to put the 3 points into Fast Hands, and that is just really for the reload or for the weapon swap speed if you want to swap between Facepuncher and Psycho Stabber. But it's quite a big increase. 20% is not bad. With a magazine size of 8, we only have 8 shots before we have to reload. And then finally the purple tree. So we're going to invest a lot more points down here. So a 5 out of 5 into No Mistakes in Nature. When Mara inflicts a status effect on an enemy, she gains increased melee damage. Status effects can be, with this build set up as I have, applied by the action skill element, or from the action skill end anointment on the grenade, which is radiation. 5 out of 5 into Heavy Rain for increased splash damage. 3 out of 3 into Unweave the Rainbow. This is dealing bonus damage of her attuned element whenever she deals melee damage or splash damage to frozen enemies. We're going to be freezing enemies using the Frozen Heart or the Void Rift. Both of those shields deal cryo damage and they will freeze enemies. Go with the flow. Whenever Amara freezes an enemy, she gains increased movement speed and weapon damage. So there's another 21% gun damage there. 1 out of 1 into Combo Breaker, because we're not using the blue tree at all and getting down to Avatar. We want to take this skill here, which will help us reset our action skill if we kill an enemy with melee damage. And we will also take the Augment Expedite. Whenever Amara kills an enemy with her action skill, she gains increased action skill cooldown rate until she activates her action skill again. So in between using Ties That Bind, the amount of enemies that we did kill with the action skill will increase the damage. We're linking them together with Ties That Bind, so we should find that our action skill comes back in a reasonable amount of time. 5 out of 5 into Joyful Freedom. After activating her action skill, Amara gains increased melee damage, so there's another 70% additive melee damage there. 3 out of 3 into Body and Mind. Kill skill. Amara's melee attacks deal bonus splash damage for a short time. There seems to be an interesting interaction with the Facepuncher, where every pellet or projectile from the Facepuncher has will proc Body and Mind. So you'll find from when we look at the combat, this is quite an interesting skill. We're getting pulsating elemental explosions on our enemies. And then 3 out of 3 into Atman. Amara gains increased action skill damage, so that will increase the damage of Ties That Bind by 27%. We're also getting a damage increase to Ties That Bind from the Phase Zerker. Obviously we're not using the blue tree, so we're not using Do Harm or Awakening to increase the effectiveness of Do Harm, which is a method of increasing the damage from Ties That Bind or any action skill. So doing a bit of a different build, this one, but I find it to be powerful enough. I've taken it through True Maliwan Takedown without any problems whatsoever. So what I think we'll do here, by the way, we are playing with Guardian rank on, all the way down to Groundbreaker, because the static charge will proc Groundbreaker. And we're playing on Mayhem 11 because I don't like the modifiers. Obviously, if you like modifiers and you want to play on Mayhem 10, choose the modifiers that would best reflect the setup that you have. So that is the build and gear. We'll go off and do some combat now. We'll probably go and do a boss as well and see how effective it is against the boss. So I think I'll see you over in... We'll go to Athenas. We'll do an easy run to Athenas. I'll see you over in Athenas. Oh, welcome back. We're here at Athenas and we're going to run through to Captain Tron to see how the build performs. As you can see, Body and Mind there is working very well. So first area clear. Yep, very strong build. The fact that we don't have the white elephant is not hindering us. In fact, this build might actually be stronger. Certainly in a mobbing situation. Doesn't have quite the single target potential that the original white elephant did. But obviously now with that doing somewhere in the region of 75 to 80% less damage, it's quite a damage hit to use that artifact. So changing over to the static charge seems to be working very well. Yes, Body and Mind there, proving to be very powerful skill to apply. A little bit thunderous, but certainly producing lots of damage. Having no trouble with this light mobbing. We'll push on to the next area. May try the next area with the Psycho Stabber just to see how that does with this build. If you're not a fan of the Facepuncher, then the Psycho Stabber is a good alternative for a melee build. Don't forget that the 300/90 anointment on the weapon applies to the ties that bind damage, so we may feel that we just literally need to pick these lot up and they will all die just from the shared damage. Not a fan of barrels, so we'll get rid of the barrels.
Down you go! I'm a freaking legend! Enemy ahead! Time up!
As you can see, this build is effective with the Psycho Stabber as well.
Come on, I want a damn challenge!
And we'll go and take care of Captain Traunt. So this is where you'll see how the single target damage compares to the White Elephant. With the White Elephant originally would just take 1 or 2 shots, and the sticky bomb damage would finish off Captain Traunt. I imagine that this will be a few more shots than that, but we'll go and see how we do. And there we go. So a few more shots than the White Elephant build, but certainly a good, fun and viable build to play. We'll go and see what happens with Grave Ward and this setup. See how it does against a big single target like Grave Ward. So I'll see you over at Eden 6. Welcome back. We're here at Eden 6 to take on Grave Ward with the build, but I have made a slight change, and the change that I have made is I've swapped over to Phase Slam rather than Ties That Bind. Grave Ward being a big single target can't be grasped, and by using Phase Slam I can activate a very powerful anointment. Phase Slam weapon damage is increased by 300% for a short time on the Facepuncher. That's going to increase the damage of the Facepuncher fourfold. I have also changed to a Brawler Ward here. Tried to get the ward to break with damage from Grave Ward, and then that will give us a further 300% bonus melee damage and also 25% weapon damage. So that was the change that we've made. So we've changed from Ties That Bind to Phase Slam. We've kept the same augment, and we've kept the same action skill element, but we've changed to our redundant Facepuncher times 14 with the Phase Slam weapon damage is increased by 300% for a short time. This Brawler Ward also has anointment that increases melee after Phase Slam, so going to get a significant increase to our melee damage, which should still make this a viable option for big single targets without having to rely on the white elephant. So we'll jump down, we'll take care of business, and we will recap the build at the end. Trying to build a little bit of slide up on the static charge just to increase the damage of our first hit. We didn't unfortunately manage to get our shield broken by Graveward himself, but we are doing significant amounts of melee damage. Activate the anointment again. As you can see, you can do a lot more damage when you have the Face Slam anointment activated. Let static charge build up some charge again. And we've managed to get our Brawler Ward broken there, so we should be doing some extra bonus melee damage. As you can see there, big chunks coming out. And we should be able to finish him off pretty much here. One last Face Slam, and he's finished off. So even with the static charge, we are finding it's viable against a large boss like Graveward. It's not going to go down as quickly as it would do with the White Elephant combination. Even the White Elephant combination, as it is now, having been nerfed, will take out Graveward quicker. And we can demonstrate that by repeating this kill using a white elephant instead, just so that you can see the difference between the two. I shall still keep the Face Slam as the action skill, but we'll change over to the knife drain white elephant. In fact, we may change over to the driver. If we change over to the driver comm, that will guarantee to break our Brawler Ward. If I do change over to the driver comm, then I'll change over to an elemental projector white elephant. So we'll repeat that kill with this same build and equipment, except we'll change to the white elephant rather than the static charge. So see you in a moment. Welcome back. So we'll repeat that kill once more, but we'll use the white elephant instead, just so you can see the difference. We're using elemental projector white elephant, and we're using a driver comm here, which will break the Brawler Ward to order for us. We're still using our Face Slam as our action skill, and we're still using the Face Slam anointed Facepuncher. So let's jump down. And we'll wait for him to present his arm, just so we've got a nice big easy target.
Hold them off for me.
So as you can see, yes, it's more effective to use the white elephant still, even though the white elephant does a much less damage than it once did. For a large single target like Graveward, probably want to switch over to the white elephant. But for the mobbing situations, as you saw on Athena's, I think that this build is perfectly viable. In fact, I think it might be better than the white elephant build as it stands. Obviously, the way the white elephant was scaled before, the damage was much greater, and I think that in that situation the white elephant was the all-round best choice but I think currently with the way that Gearbox have adjusted things, that it is preferable to use the White Elephant on large target like Grave Ward, but in a bossing situation or in a mixed environment where you have bosses and minions, I would say that the static charge is the way to go. So we'll have a quick recap. We were using ties that bind for the main mobbing area. We were using Phase Slam here to activate the Phase Slam anointments for single target bossing. But we were using ties that bind originally for the first part of the video. So that's the red tree, that's the green tree, that's the purple tree. Only 3 points in the blue tree there. That was our Guardian rank all the way down to Groundbreaker. We were playing on Mayhem 11. And we were using a variety of either the Face Slam anointed Facepuncher or the 300 over 90 anointed Facepuncher. For the mobbing situations we were using Frozen Heart, but a Void Rift would also work. And we were using the Phase Zerker with the static charge. So that's the kit. That's the kit that you need to make this build work. I think it's a good, viable build. It's certainly different than the normal White Elephant build, where you use the White Elephant for everything. But obviously, as we've demonstrated with Grave Ward, the static charge is viable, but the White Elephant still against bosses will get the job done a little bit quicker. So I've been LD50, you've been lovely. If you have enjoyed this content, please consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.